This story was submitted by Laura. I'm a female, and I live with my parents. We have a sauna in our backyard, and I go in it every Saturday. Sometimes I invite my friends, and sometimes I go alone. It's a sauna where you can just sit and relax, but also shower in there at the same time. My parents were out at a friend's wedding, so I was home alone. I had to work late that day, so I came home at around midnight, but I still wanted to go in the sauna. My body was aching and I was exhausted, and the sauna was the perfect thing that I needed at that moment. I took off my clothes and headed immediately into the warm, steamy, relaxing, and heavenly room. I sat there for about 20 minutes or so, and there's also a small window in there just in case you get too hot, but it only opens a crack. I had just started showering when I heard the doors open outside the sauna where you take your clothes off. I thought it was my mom coming back from the wedding because sometimes she comes straight to the sauna, so I shouted, "Mom?" No answer. I shouted one more time, but louder, "Mom!" Still no answer. I went to open the door, but I couldn't. They were locked. But how? The door doesn't even have a lock. I started banging on the door and shouting that it wasn't funny, and that if someone was messing around with me, they better stop. My heart started beating fast, and I was in dire need of air because it was so hot. Plus I was panicking and I couldn't get enough oxygen. I started banging on the small window in an attempt to open it enough for me to fit through, but it was far too strong to break. I was screaming for help, and I was in real need of oxygen, but the window wouldn't budge, and I passed out. I have no idea how long I was unconscious, but I woke up to my mother holding me and asking me what happened. I couldn't answer. My throat hurt and was really dry. All I wanted to do was to get into the house, get some water, and hide. After I eventually calmed down, my mom told me that she had come home and found the door leading to the sauna open, and our coat rack stuck behind the sauna door, wedging it closed. That's why I couldn't open it. How that happened, I have no idea. Now I never go into the sauna alone, and we only shower in there during the day. This story was submitted by Jesper. I'm a hockey player, and during a game I had my knee torn up really bad. The doctors from the team told me to go and get x-rays as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I played and lived in a town that was far away from everything. I called my doctor from my former hockey team, since they had helped me with some shoulder surgeries before, and he was a good friend of the family. I knew that he could help me out faster than any other doctor in the country. He told me to come visit him as soon as possible, so I rented a car from the local auto shop. Since the club was paying for it, I got one of the nicer cars, just to show off, I guess. I stayed the day to support my team since we were in a really important game, and after the game I went to my apartment, grabbed my stuff, and started driving. It didn't take me long to realize that driving a manual car with a broken left knee wasn't easy. My plan was to get to my family's house before midnight, which was 4 hours away, sleep there, and in the morning I would visit my doctor that lived in a town nearby. I drove through the woods, and the road switched from 2 lanes to 1 lane and back every other mile. Around 10 p.m. I was driving in the middle of the woods, the only lights being from my fancy rental car, when I noticed something blocking the road up ahead. I slowed down as I approached it, and noticed it was a full garbage bag laying in the middle of the road. I couldn't go around it since there was a guardrail separating my lane and the oncoming lane. My only options were to either run it over and possibly damage my rental car, or to stop and move whatever was in the bag. I chose the latter. Since this was in the winter, the sun was long gone by now, and it was extremely dark. I knew that I had to move the trash bag to keep going, so I opened the door and got out of my car. As I exited the car, I noticed how silent everything was. The only thing I could hear was the low rumble of the car's engine. I got a really bad feeling, and decided to get the garbage bag out of my way as fast as possible. I made my way up to the bag, grabbed it, and moved it into the light coming from my car to see what was in it. It was a mannequin doll. That creeped me the fuck out, and I threw it in the ditch as fast as I could. Out of the silence of the night, I heard a huge horn going off. I turned around, and there was a big semi-truck honking, blinking, and signaling like crazy. I must have been so distracted with seeing what was in the bag that I hadn't noticed it pull up right behind my car. I figured he was just pissed at me for blocking the road, so I ran back to my car. As I got in the car, he started honking and flashing his lights even faster. He saw me getting into my car. What was his issue? As I am thinking this, I look back in my rearview mirror, and my heart stopped. There was a man sitting in my back seat. The stranger in the back seat screamed,
"You lucky fuck,"
before bolting out the back door and into the woods. I was in shock. I couldn't even move. Eventually, I got my senses together, and I knew I had to get out of there as fast as I could. I was so scared I almost didn't even notice the pain in my knee as I quickly shifted through the gears, gaining speed. Almost. Looking back on this incident, I think that the trucker honking and flashing his lights must have seen the person getting into my car as I was removing the garbage bag from the road, and he must have been trying to warn me of the stranger sneaking into the back seat of my car. What would have happened if the trucker would have never shown up? Maybe I would just be another random news story of a missing person never found. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. If you would like a chance to have your story featured in an upcoming video, make sure you check the description for information on how to submit your stories. Both of these stories were a little shorter, but both of them were really creepy as well. The first one, we don't know how that coat hanger got knocked down, and neither do they. It could have been someone breaking in, it could have been an animal they maybe had opening a door that knocked into a coat rack and wedged it in. Some Final Destination crap right there. I'm just really happy that your mother made it home in time to open the door for you. And in the second story, I'm really happy that the trucker was there to give you a warning. Who knows what would have happened if he wouldn't have been there. I hope you're all having a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true.